So, it's I've had an interesting work career, like post 20, um, and it's amounted to like pretty unique experience all over the place. I don't have any kind of higher education. I got about 12 college credits, about 8 seminary credits to my name, a lot of student debt, a bunch of I think 3 or 4 failed semesters, um, and it's all worked out really good for now, at least. Yeah. We've had trying times, we've had hard times. There's times I've worked 3 to 4 jobs at once. There's times I've worked no job for a spell. I've always been blessed to be able to find work in different fields. Um, but currently, I work at a parachurch organization that is ultimately a assist the government in providing housing and quote unquote some form of rehabilitation for young people, ages 11 to 17, 18, I think. It's only been around a month. My official title is campus minister and recreation coordinator, which just means, minister part, obviously. I'm a minister to the campus. And then recreation, I just help organize, purchase, run different events, things like that, etc. Stuff for the kids. A long part of my life is like, I don't know if it's imposter syndrome, but the feeling of like not quite, um, kind of feeling lesser than. Like I have a distinct memory of like my big brother who I love so much. He made the transition. He took the police test for New York City, and I remember going to his graduation when I was like in my mid to late 20s. Probably when I was my most like unsettled with what did my work life consist of and what did I want from it. And I remember being so proud of him and so happy, but also like terribly like feeling like crap for myself, which is like really not a good quality. I really haven't felt that often in life as far as like comparison, but that was a time where it was like me. I made it really about me, and I was taking stock like, what am I doing with my life? It's my baby brother, by 3 years. It's not like that much, but it's he's got this whole career. His life is set, and really being envious of that. Um, it's funny how timing and things work. Not long after, kind of got an open door to uh, lead full time youth ministry as a career. I did pretty well at it. I enjoyed it. I loved it. Um, Out of the outshoot of that, I got opportunities to like speak and connect with different churches, do workshops, programs, retreats, et cetera. A lot of stuff that falls under the banner of youth director, youth pastor. Quickly, on just an organizational side, even though I was like with really good people and people who I trusted genuinely and trust to this day and are very fond of, I found within myself like a very like hearty. I don't know if this is satisfaction is the word, but a kind of like frustration of things. Not so much like even overall with the organization, but just kind of within myself. Um, but continued working. Um, then fielded a couple other interviews, but at least in church work, it seems to go one of two ways. You either are really really transient and move from place to place because you're just not really good with people, even though you do ministry, um, or you find a spot and you hunker down for the next like 30, 40 years if you're lucky. You do it till you die, and the church has enough funding, and you got a career. I lied much more in the latter. I was there and I was going to be okay. They were very happy with my work. I'm very grateful for that. I was really set up to succeed in a lot of ways. It was not a perfect situation, none is, but it was a really good situation for me. And then during COVID, I did something crazy. I decided to switch the places I was working, similar position. I took a little bit less money with the promise of education, um, and took my commute from 10 minutes to an hour and 10 minutes. I went from working 5 minutes, a couple towns over, to working, I live in Suffolk County, 2 counties over to Queens. Quickly, um, was a weird time because you just didn't see people much. So a lot of it was like filming videos like this, and interaction with the kids was minimal. It was very strange. Um, to a lot of people, it seemed like a step backwards, and financially, it certainly was not a huge one, but one enough. And then I keep going to work, and instantly, like a year in, I'm feeling this dissatisfaction. So I have to start. Places are changing, but the same feelings are within me. And working at a church. It predominantly was Asian American, which was like a challenge and unique, but one that I enjoyed. People are people, so you must respect and adapt to cultural differences while also understanding that we are all humans. The beauty of Christianity is this idea of oneness that hopefully there's some truth to and lies in that, so you're able to connect with different people. Yada, yada, yada. So then I left church work on my own accord, which I'm so grateful for. Not because of any great disgrace to my family or myself, not because of any weird abuse of my power, influence, and not because of my employer being unhappy with me, far from it. And I left on my own terms. I watched a lot of my contemporaries who I really adored in ministry either reveal themselves to kind of be really flawed and broken and not fit for leadership in a way that they were abusing their power in different ways, or people who were just chewed up and spit out by kind of like the evangelical church machine. And there's just me. And I said, okay, I'm good. I'm going to stay. I went into the medical field, working like front desk and secretarial work. Really loved it, actually. But quickly just ran into like this giant organization that didn't really care about me as a human, even though the people did, for sure. And I was brought in by like a really ambitious young man who I worked with in ministry, who I adore to this day. But he had his own stuff to take care of, and quickly kind of he had to go to his own thing, and I was kind of stuck. Not in a bad situation, but one that I knew I had to move on from, specifically because my family needed me. Amanda, they needed me. We went through, up to this point, the most surreal tragedy. My wife's father died literally out of the blue. Like, no health issues, anything, and was taken from us after a 7-day battle. His body did, but his brain was gone. So then I got to be pretty much a full-time stay-at-home dad. I had part-time jobs, but and in between that, I worked like in a business office, and that was like the worst job I ever had. The money was decent, but it was the worst job I've ever had. I hated it. It was soulless. I was pretty much dehumanized down to bill collecting, which is like the one thing I told them, I don't do that. Don't expect me calling up people and being like, hey, pay your bill. That's my main. Like, how does one come home feeling fulfilled from that? It's not even that, like, because I don't like this a dream job. How does one just come home feeling like not dead inside from it? Like, I don't need to, like, I can do it. I feel dead inside. Then I I started doing some group homework on the side, direct care, which I really loved instantly, felt at home with it instantly, loved it. And little did I know that this was preparation for this position I am in now. Why am I saying all this? I think that oftentimes we'll be wandering, looking, like work is important, right? You spend a lot of hours there to live. You cannot live unless you have some super uber job or trust fund baby on anything less than 40 hours a week minimum. So you're ultimately spending most of your waking life at work. Then you exhale for the weekend. I needed something that I could at least feel decent about. I'm not even saying good, decent about. And I'm in a position now where I'm working with young men and women who are going through the valleys of life through choices of their own or choices of their parents, or even environment, and just connecting with them, interacting with them, counseling them in the sense of just being present for them and giving them a little bit of advice, but really just listening and being there. The spiritual side of it's very present, which I quickly learned I missed deeply. And there's a whole other parts to it, doing events, being able to facilitate and move along things and coordinate things, which I do get a sense of satisfaction from. But if I could say anything, I would just say that don't settle if you're unhappy, like capital U unhappy. We all get lowercase unhappy, but if you're capital U unhappy, it's usually time to move on, because ultimately, like, especially trapped within this capitalistic wheel in America, you will just be crunched and destroyed, and you will blink and you will be old, and you will look back at something that doesn't exist anymore, right? The past. But we are the culmination of those moments, and you will ache, and you will be angry and bitter, and you will be full of regret. I luckily don't carry so many regrets in my life. I carry certainly mistakes and things that I wish, but regret is so strong. especially to regret something that ultimately it's not you making a mistake, it's you just trying to provide enough money on your plates to survive and live. Uh, it's not easy to get a job. I don't want to make it like it's just go out and do that or start something, but I think the opposite is much more difficult. Don't just be numb and stay where you're at. Fight, look for something else, hunger for something else, pray for something else, build yourself up for something else because you never know what's going to come. That's it. Keep going. Appreciate you.